Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice. You have a community. You are never, ever, ever alone. Okay. Here on Invisible Condition, we get it. Okay. We know that life can be tough sometimes. We also know that there is always hope. That's where we operate around here. We operate in hope. And so I just want to make sure that you do too. Hope is a good place to be. So I want to talk to you about a couple things before we today is an awesome day because today we get to talk with Michal again, and she's going to be bringing some mind-blowing, earth-shattering things that are gonna, rock your world today. I promise you. Keep watching; it's gonna be good. I want to talk to you first about Hydro with Hope, which is our nonprofit. Now, Hydro with Hope was created specifically to help people with the condition I was born with, which is called hydrocephalus, and hydrocephalus brings with it, for a lot of people, some very unique challenges. Typically, hydrocephalus is treated with brain surgery. And so it's a big deal. Brain surgery is kind of a big deal. And so families with hydrocephalus have a lot of bills, a lot of crazy stuff going on, a lot of uncertainty. And so we want to help those in that situation. And we have resources. But the thing is, our vision is bigger than our financial ability right now. And so what we are proposing is that we are actively bringing on more board members in order to be able to help us expand in the way that we need to expand to help more people. So if you or somebody that you know would be interested in talking with me about that and having a conversation about maybe you think you would want to help, or maybe somebody that would be an amazing board member that could help us, with the things that we've got a short list of things that we are actively, urgently wanting to accomplish. So if you want to talk to me about that, please send me an email at invisiblecondition@e360tv.com. And also, at the same time, same email, I want to leave it up there because we're also wanting to 2025. I want to blow the doors off of this thing and find some sponsors that really believe in what we're doing. And we've had some amazing sponsors over the last couple of years, and I'm so thankful for them. And a lot of them are still with us. I want to find a couple that really want to expand the vision that we want to expand and that are aligned with that. And so please, if you have a business or company, or somebody that does, that would like to have that conversation, same email, invisiblecondition@e360tv.com. So, all right, here we go. All right, I'm going to bring Michal on, and we are going to hit the ground running here because we got a lot to talk about, and it's going to be kind of crazy. So here we go. Michal, thank you so much for being here again, and let's just start right off, man. Who are you, first of all, and then what are we going to talk about today?
Yep. Well, the little teasers, we're going to talk about the crazy woo-woo topic of channeling.
Yeah.
And I just had to put that out there already.
Don't worry, it's not what you're thinking, guys. Come on. It's not.
And then who I am is Michal, and I'm a functional medicine practitioner. I have a master's in nutrition. I have certifications and lots of other things. And none of that got me fully healthy. And so I was known for working with very tough and complex cases, clients that had been to the Mayo Clinic and not been helped, that then came to us and we figured it out, and they started getting better very quickly, like within days. And so, I was known for, solving the mystery cases and the weird, seeing all the people that have seen everyone else. But at the end of the day, while what I was experiencing was effective at managing symptoms, and we're teaching people, about GMOs in foods and toxins in the environment and the importance of detoxing and the importance of emotional healing. I mean, like lots of things, supplementation, organic, all the things. Just, it became apparent to me that if I could not eat gluten, dairy, corn, soy, nightshades, blah, 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 I had to detox. I was super restricted. I had to avoid these chemicals. Otherwise, I'd have these big reactions because I was autoimmune, all of these things that meant I was still sick. So it was very humbling and scary to think of and face the fact that I wasn't teaching people how to become healthy. I was teaching them how to stay sick. And my entire livelihood was wrapped up into this.
Yeah.
So for myself, I decided I was sick of it. I was done with managing and band-aiding symptoms with my herbs and my supplements and my gluten-free lifestyle. And so I sought out what I didn't know. I just blank slate, let me search for the answers, right? And so what I found was really a lot of things, but the easiest way to say it is by regulating my nervous system, I got my body into a self-healing state 24/7, which logically made a lot more sense than just popping a pill or getting a massage once a week or, doing these things that had short-term results. If I could get my body to stay there all the time instead of being in fight or flight survival mode all the time, I knew logically that would have a massive impact on my health, whether it fully worked or not. I didn't care. Anyway, fast forward 3 months and I was fully healthy. I can eat to this day whatever I want, gluten, dairy, nightshades. I can have non-organic produce if I need to or want to or whatever. GMOs don't bother me if I'm out and about and I happen to eat that, so it just was a radical change of my entire worldview. I'm not on any supplements or meds. I don't go to the chiropractor or massage therapist. I don't need any of those management tools. I can have natural shampoo and conditioner, or regular shampoo and conditioner if I want. So all the things that I was blaming for my illness turned out to not really be the problems at all. It was my body's inability to detox properly or digest properly. And so that's what I teach. It's very exciting because our bodies can heal themselves in a few months, usually on average about 3 to 5. It doesn't take years. And so I want people to know that.
And it doesn't take years because it doesn't take years for the body to replenish itself, right? So every cell in your body is brand new sooner than that. So why not take advantage of that and be fully healthy? So
yes, if we're producing billions of cells every single second, the key is, are those cells optimally fully functioning?
Yep.
Or are they compromised because our nervous system is in a survival state?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And so today we are going to approach the world of something that is usually very airy, very, very out there, very non-specific and woo, so but we have we have a visual that's going to kind of rein it in a little. So go for it. What are we doing?
Hey, I know I freaked Jeff out when Jeff was like, "What's the topic?" I said channeling, and Jeff went, "Oh no."
What kind of show are we running here? Come on.
Yeah, seriously. But I think it's important to talk about. I avoided these topics for a long time. And the fact of the matter is these concepts are talked about in the world. And I think it's very confusing. I think people don't know what to make of it. I think it blocks them from having anything to do with even healthy things that are biblically based, right? If you're Christian or, whatever, and so it's let's reframe this concept in a way that isn't without the woo woo. And let's show the relevance of this.
Nice.
So I'm now taking on crazy topics. Okay, so to help us with this, we're going to pull up what we talked about a couple weeks ago on our last show together, which is the map of consciousness. And David Hawkins has done a lot of research on, consciousness and how we operate and the impact on our health. And so what he was discovering, for example, in tons of years of research, is that, everyone's studying, the effect of toxins on our health, or the effect of, bacteria, so, candida, or the effect of like microwaves, like using microwaves on our food, right? It like changes the nature and that's not good for us and blah, blah, blah. And so a lot of these things that are talked about, he has discovered in his research that it's really only at certain levels, like when people are in survival mode and they are in a compromised state in their body, that these things have negative effects. When we have fully functioning, healthy body parts, and organs and systems that are able to do what they're designed to do, the same things that have a negative effect just don't. Yeah. So that was weird in his research. That really was eye-opening to him, that it's not like a fixed thing. Like people ask me all the time, well, what is the right diet for me? Like as if I'm going to say a set, like, paleo or autoimmune paleo or keto or whatever, right? Like as if I'm going to say a thing that's one thing, one size fits all. And I said, this is all customized to you. Like, let's ask your nervous system. Let's ask your body, because, depending on where they're at, and that will change over time, depending on where they're at, the answer is going to change. So if you want to pull up the map of consciousness, we'll take a peek here because we didn't get to see it last time. Yep. And so you don't have to get all, whoa, there's a lot of words here. But what we're going to look at is just on the left, right, the name of the level and the energetic log. So we're just looking at the numbers and the overall title, right? So at the bottom, it's shame. In the middle, it's like courage and neutrality, right? At the top, it's love, joy, peace. Right. And enlightenment's a big buzzword, but I kind of like to think of it as, am I just being authentic and am I living in alignment with my values? That's mostly how I picture that. Yeah. So depending upon what level someone is operating from, they could absolutely have food allergies and need to cut out gluten and need to detox all the time because their body is in a compromised state. So what he says is below the red line, right? So we see pride and below. So at 200 and below, this is what he calls the survival mode. So it's survival processes. So when we say that like 92% of the population are in survival mode, it means that they're operating in these survival strategies. And we also have like the negative mind and ego, which is all based on survival. So our limiting beliefs, we're being run by fear. It's in the middle at 100, right? It's fear-based, and we see that all over our world. What's in between the two red sections is what he calls like reason and integrity. So now we're not being emotionally reactive. We're not living from our traumas and our insecurities and our fears and our limiting beliefs and our shadow and woundedness and all that, needing to prove our self-worth because we don't have some, or, these things. We're not living from an insecure attachment style. We are beginning to be secure at 200 and above. So 200 to 400, courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason. It's where people in this section, they tend to, well, first of all, the parasympathetic nervous system turns on at 250 at neutrality. So we literally are shifting from a default in our physical bodies, our physical nervous systems, from being sympathetic dominant, which means I'm living from fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So that's like anger outbursts, perfectionism, being a workaholic, being codependent. I could continue. We've talked about this in the past. But I'm shifting from living there as my default, where I need deep breathing to pull me out of it, and I need massages to pull me out of it, and I need acupuncture to pull me out of it. Most of what we are taught in the holistic or healing world, or just for stress management in general, is literally to like get out of survival mode for a little bit of time. But this is why for me, like learning to live in the parasympathetic meant so much, is because it meant switching my default from sympathetic dominance to parasympathetic dominance. And when I'm in the parasympathetic nervous system, my body produces stem cells on its own. My redox systems are fully activated. That's like our detox systems and our antioxidant systems. We produce stem cells and growth hormone and a lot of regenerative hormones and oxytocin. And I mean, all these things are able to be produced in our bodies, and we're able to come out of survival, where the main focus of our bodies then are A, optimal function, and B, healing and rebalancing and restoring any damage that has been done. Yes. So in functional medicine, we're pretty good at running all the tests, and I still can do that, but we run all the tests and then we guess, by the way, make the best educated, logical guess that we can on what's the root cause and what tool can help the body fix it.
Yes, because I remember going to a functional medicine person for months and a few years ago, and because there was some issues going on in my body, and like the whole family, Catherine and I, like everybody was on board with this stuff, and we were altering everything. Well, when I went there, I feel like every time I left there, they were giving me 2 or 3 more bottles of something that I needed to take to balance out something, and yeah, I like functional medicine is awesome. They're just a step in the right direction, right?
Yes.
They're not pushing pharmaceuticals. They're not telling you that you're sick. They're just saying, we need to, in fact, I even remember asking them point blank. I asked her, is this temporary or am I going to be on these for the rest of my life? I remember asking her that, and she didn't really have a good answer for it because she didn't know. Right. And even in functional medicine, it's practicing medicine. You're still practicing. They don't know, So yeah, totally. Crazy.
And so I'll skip ahead because this is where we're going to go after the break too.
Yeah.
Functional medicine is great for people at 125 and below because their bodies really do need the support.
True. Yeah.
I mean, there are other ways, but we're not ditching other methods. We're just saying, here's what they can help with, and here's their limits, right? Yeah. So 125 and below, you're in a compromised state. You're in the survival system. Your body is compromised. Look, if you're not going to digest optimally, then you need to consume foods that are easier to digest. If you can't detox chemicals and poisons and your detox is compromised, then you do need constant detox support. And you probably need a ton of it because if you've been in the sympathetic most of your life, like most of us have, you have accumulated lots of toxicity. The beauty is not like throwing that out. It's just saying, well, when I'm in between, courage and reason, when I'm 250 and above, we'll say that. Yeah. Those systems are already working optimally. So I don't have to add a detox, and I do digest differently. And so I do absorb differently. And so I can handle gluten all of a sudden. It's not a problem, which is mind blowing, but it's still true. So, So, and then above that is just, it's kind of like more, how David Hawkins calls it. It's more of a spiritual paradigm, but what I've seen, spiritual is a weird word. People don't know what that means. So I kind of like to just relate it to, instead of working on the foundation of being healthy, when I start going there, I'm really starting to work on, what are my true goals? What are my true values? How do I show up in my relationships? I start to, look at how I'm operating in every area of my life. And I'm no longer so focused on just my physical health and, just these core foundational pieces of survival, like my core needs, right? Like my finances need to be healthy. My, body needs to be healthy. And that's mostly what the focus is at lower levels. And coming into, this middle section of 200 to 400, that's a lot of the focus. But be above and beyond that, it's more like, oh, wow, like how can I show up in every area of my life and bring my true values, right? And be the best version of me and make a difference and live a meaningful, purposeful life. That's kind of how I look at it as a human. So,
nice.
Cool. So this is a good introduction. When we come back, we're actually going to talk about how we channel differently at each one of these levels. We are actually channeling these levels into our lives. And we're going to talk about how to start shifting that from channeling survival thoughts and experiences to love and those experiences.
Awesome. And also a little teaser for I'm thinking we'll go there. I don't know, you tell me, but there's the numbers on that column, the energetic log is I think I remember you talking about, like, if you went into a room of this many people, like that kind of, okay. Now, I know nobody that's listening understood what I just said, but I wanted to make sure that we're going to get to that because it's so cool.
Yes,
So
it's measurable. The
it's measurable.
frequency we emit as humans is measurable and
Yeah.
has been measured over a long period of time by people that are researching this. So yes, that's what we'll talk
And this
about.
is and this will all come around. I promise, guys. Stick around, everybody, because this is the really cool thing coming up that I was just hinting at that I didn't want to say too much because I want Michal to explain it because she's better at it than me. So I only know enough to be dangerous about that part. So so we'll get there in the next segment, maybe or the third, but we'll get there. So all right, everybody, stick around. There's so much more to come, and you're not going to want to miss it. We'll see you in just a couple minutes.
Hey there. You know, every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy.
And I'm Minna.
We're the hosts of Chronically Healthy Life.
Join us Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time on Vitality TV to see how we flip the idea of chronic on its head and create chronic health in our bodies, minds, finances, and relationships right here on E360 TV.
Hey, everybody, before we bring Michal back, I want to talk to you really quick about something that we have going on that I want you to be aware of, and that is Invisible Condition University. So Invisible Condition University empowers you to face whatever invisible condition you or a loved one may be facing by providing a community. Everybody needs a community. This community is one that listens, that cares, that walks with you no matter what the condition is, no matter where you are in the process, no matter what you're going through. You'll be part of a community that meets twice a month so that you can have a safe place for you, your loved ones, your caregivers, whoever you want to bring with you. Bring your community with you to ask questions, get support, or just find some hope, you know? This is something I wish that we would have had 10 years ago when I was in the midst of brain surgery after brain surgery after brain surgery. Challenges, man. It's been crazy. And we're on the other side of that now, but good Lord, was it challenging, and this would have been so nice. And so it's here for you. Invisible Condition University is only $17 a month. And as my gift to you, if you scan the QR code that's on the screen right now or go invisibleconditionuniversity.com, you'll get the first month free. Try us out a couple times. I promise you'll love it, and you'll keep coming back because it's an amazing community. So yes, and the next show, listen to me talking about shows. The next time we will be meeting for Invisible Condition University will be today, this afternoon at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 2 Pacific. And so today we'll meet. We'll be there as long as you need us to. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour and a half. I don't know. Depends on who's there. So join us today, June 3rd at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, and we'll see where the conversation goes. All right. Let's bring Michal back and see where that conversation goes. Here we go. All right. here we go. We blew some minds in the first segment, and we're gonna keep doing it. So, what do we still need? Do we need the map of consciousness up there one more time, or
We'll pull
actually
it back up here in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that you remembered about some of the studies that have been done where they actually measure people at different frequencies, and they measure different people in different states at different frequencies. And so it's so cool because it circulated around a while ago about, what people would think the strongest or highest frequency is that we could emit, at least that's been measured. I'm sure there's more that hasn't been measured yet, but
sure.
What would you think that it would be?
The highest that on that graphic?
Well,
that a person
yeah,
could do,
or just in general.
Oh,
Curious if
I
you
mean,
have
well,
thoughts.
let me just put it up here real quick and just see. Like if I were to guess, like there's some high level stuff up there, man. Like, so I would think maybe the average person, is that what you're talking about, or how high somebody could go?
Well, yeah, if we pick one of the words on the left column, what is the highest frequency we could emit?
I mean, enlightenment is such a popular word that I think, but acceptance, I feel like in the real world, I feel like acceptance is pretty typical. Like, okay, if you can just accept what you're living with, accept what then you can go down the road of getting the help you need or whatever. But if you don't accept that what you've got is what you've got, then how can you possibly do anything about it?
Yep.
Because you're in denial. If you're not in acceptance, you're in denial, right? So I think that's probably typically what I would say is the highest level that most people would be able to get to.
That's some interesting. That's why I ask you, because you always pull in these interesting ideas. I think most people think it's love.
Okay.
But what they have looked at is its authenticity. Right?
Huh.
Being authentic with yourself, which is like honest with yourself and with others. And I think somebody said it's like 5 times more powerful than love, something like that.
Okay.
What we see, to the point that you're bringing out, is that about 8% of the population ever move to courage and neutrality and willingness and acceptance. About 8%.
Wow.
Of the population. So this is the work we are doing in the planet, really, is raising consciousness. But that sounds so weird, and nobody gets what that is. It's like we can't really lead with that. But hopefully we start to introduce these concepts and show how they work in real life. I actually taught a class this week on this. It was so neat to hear, like, gosh, I've seen the map of consciousness, but the group was able to really see how it actually controls our entire life, because these are the filters through which we are experiencing life.
Yep.
And we can't really see it. It's unconscious to us. So 8% really move courage and up. And I would say in order to begin healing, you actually have to have the courage to do it. You have to believe that it's possible on some level. Like, you have to just think it could be possible. That's probably a better way to say it. You won't believe it and know it until you're living it. So don't wait until you know it, because you won't, because you're not experiencing it. Anyway. So, and then there's even less of the population that move beyond that level. But most people are really solid, and their ability to be in the parasympathetic and live there all the time, which means their body's constantly repairing itself and there's no ongoing symptoms. That usually happens around acceptance and reason. So when you're consistently here, you're just really solid in the parasympathetic. And one of my practitioners was describing this week, how do I let people know? Because they ask us, like, oh, that means we're never going to experience anything challenging again. And we're like, no.
What?
So it's like, but the way you experience challenging things changes. Yes. And we talked about this a few episodes ago. What if you could experience anger through peace? What if you could experience what you're experiencing through a different lens? Yes. Like, I still have human emotions. I still go through very challenging things. I'm living a story right now. But the ability to choose to come from a place of love, from a place of acceptance, from a place of peace, from a place of authenticity, to be able to slow down and really think through, how do I want to respond? I don't want to react. How do I want to respond here? That could bring life, that could bring truth, or whatever. If a person's open, having that ability to pause and not just be so caught up in my feelings and in reactions and in anger and in, all of the survival stuff and in fear.
Right.
I'm working through a lot of fear right now. That is such a gift. So it's like life lived in a different paradigm, like the parasympathetic, and versus life lived in survival, which is the only skills I have are fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Yep. You get a whole different skill set, like being present, being grounded, being able to feel your feelings, having emotional intelligence, being able to channel from a higher conscious place the stuff that I choose to say, the stuff that I choose to emit. And this is talked about in scripture, Jewish scripture, Christian scripture, other religions. It's actually being pointed to. We just get really caught up on the language, right? It's hard to translate weird language. Right. And so what I began teaching this week in a class with our graduates was, to have them actually get to witness themselves channeling. And how I described it was, we all are channeling all the time. It's what are we channeling? That's not, right. We're channeling the negative mind, the neutral observer, or a positive, loving, supportive, nurturing, truth-based parent, right? When we talk about healing our inner child or parenting ourselves to do our best, or with a patient, right? A good parent is patient, not like, you should already have gotten this by now. Why aren't you further along in your human evolution journey? It's like, you should already be better by now, or you shouldn't have any triggers with all the trauma work you've been doing. No, that's a negative parent. That is like the demanding parent, or the guilting parent, or the helicopter parent. The inner critic, that's an inner critic talking. Yes. So we're always channeling from somewhere. We're channeling from our conscious mind or our unconscious mind. We're channeling from our trauma, or we're channeling from our healing. We're channeling from an insecure attachment style, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized, or we're channeling from a secure attachment style, which is healthy, secure, emotionally intelligent. So we're always channeling. And so the key is, what are you channeling? Where is it coming from? And so most people, they're so afraid of the word channeling that they never choose to ask, well, hold on, what am I channeling? Is it my human flesh, right? Is this of the flesh, or is this of the spirit, the Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost? Yep. Do you channel the Holy Spirit, for weird lack of better ways to say that? Or are you channeling fear and humanness, right? Yeah. So being able to ask, where is this coming from within me, and be able to pinpoint it on the map of consciousness is so powerful. Because if you're traveling to another country and you don't know the area, what do you have? You make sure you have a map. Yep. I love that he called this the map of consciousness, right? That's basically all we're giving people is a map. Here's a map to your nervous system to catch when it's dysregulated and to know how to get from dysregulated to regulated. That's it. We're giving you the map.
Well, and it's a map. It's not a GPS. You still have to read it and figure it out. A GPS tells you everything that you need to, right? That spells it out for you. A map just gives you the tool.
Yes. In order to really have an accurate GPS, you have to be out of survival mode, by the way. You don't get your GPS until you're at neutrality and above, because that's reason and integrity. That's where your intuitive nudges, you can hear them more clearly, but also they're coming from a healthy place.
But when you get those nudges, like yesterday was a perfect example. I knew that I was dysregulated because I handled a situation differently than if I would have been regulated. And it was a frustration that was going on. And I definitely knew after the fact, especially, that and so I went and I got myself regulated, and then everything was like, the rest of the day was fine. But you but it's like you don't know what you don't know until you do. And then once you know, you can't unlearn that. Like it's
True.
with you forever.
Yes.
And so that's the cool part.
Because
Yeah.
you're actually conscious of it. So I get asked all the time, well, how do you know? And it's hard to describe well, because I went through my own journey of becoming conscious of the same patterns. And so now when you're more conscious of it, you just see it like it's glaringly obvious. And you'll
Yeah.
experience the same thing when you become conscious of that, because at this point, you're just acting from unconscious patterns and habits. But as you become conscious of them, you can't unsee it. And so you'll just see it everywhere.
Right.
You know, it's like
Exactly.
it's like if I was smiling at you and you can see me smiling, right?
Yep.
And what if I were to ask you, well, how do you know I'm smiling? You're like, I can literally see it. It's like obvious, right? That's the same thing. But you can't see it from the consciousness level you're in. You would have to grow to at the next consciousness level to be able to see, oh, those were the patterns and habits. So you have to already grow beyond your patterns and habits to be able to see them. This is also good news. Most people start asking me, oh no, now that I'm seeing these things, how do I fix it? How do I let it go? What do I do with it? They kind of freak out. And the answer is so easy. It's actually the fact that you can see it means you've already outgrown it. So it's just seeing it and allowing yourself to become aware of it, because you already change when you become aware. So,
yeah.
do you want to can I push you to do an exercise about yesterday? You can say no.
I knew I shouldn't bring this kind of stuff up on the air, man. Seriously. All right. Yeah, go for it. Hit me. What you got?
So when you were in your frustration, can you check in with your body on like what level of the map of consciousness you were in? Yeah, we can keep it up if it helps you.
I was going to say I shouldn't have taken it down.
We can keep it up. Just sit with each level. See if you can intuit where that was coming from, the frustration.
Yeah.
Take your time.
I think
we didn't plan this, so Jeff needs some time.
I think it was from, I'm going to say pride, I think, because what was going on, I completely blew off an appointment that was showing up at the house it was one of those like service calls for a repair on something, and it was a 2-hour window, and they called us, and I didn't get the message because I was on a call, and so it was totally my fault, but I hated that it was totally my fault. Because I don't do that very often, and I really am very conscious about that, because I hate it when that happens on the other end to me.
Right.
You know, if you schedule a call with somebody and they don't show up, and it's frustrating. So I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And I totally was that guy. And it was totally my fault, 100,000%. And so I had to swallow my pride with the tail between my legs and call them back and say, I'm so sorry. Can we reschedule? And they rescheduled for today. And so I literally blocked it out on my calendar today. And now I know that I will be there, and I'm not going to blow them off. But it was that realizing that it was 1,000% me that screwed up. Yeah. And so pride it wounded my pride a little bit.
Yes, a little bit. I know. So what I pick up too is not that there wasn't pride in there as well, but desire is the first that came to me. And it's interesting when we start looking at disappointing, the view of life disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then we feel like in frustration, which could be aggression too. Frustration, aggression go together,
Sure.
so it's
for sure.
Whatever. But then we're enslaved. And it's so interesting about that word, because it's like, I want this is how I see it show up. Working with all humans, it's amazing, because it doesn't matter who you are.
Right.
You sound the same. You say the same things. You have very similar patterns if you're at the same level of consciousness as other people. So our fear, we check the map of consciousness with everybody we do consults with, and the people that come in and they're in fear. We know exactly how it's going to. They all say the very same things. They hear the information through a very similar filter. Right. People who are already in courage are pretty much ready. Those consults go the fastest. People at desire and up, they need a little bit of work, but they can actually move through it in a couple conversations. Like, it's fascinating seeing so many humans, hundreds over these years of looking at this in our own research. Then we're like, oh, this is what people in fear do. These are the patterns and habits. Got it. Interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is how to help them go from fear to desire. So with this disappointing and being enslaved, when we're in desire, it's usually, I hate what I'm experiencing and I'm rejecting it, but then I feel a slave to my emotional turmoil. Like,
Right.
how do I get out of this? Now, the cool thing is, you know how to regulate. So I'm curious, when you did your regulation you've learned, where did that bring you on this map?
I think for that day, for that moment, I think it probably brought me to maybe, I can't decide if it's either acceptance or reason.
Good.
Because it was okay. I get it now. Understanding, that word kind of jumps out at me. It's like, okay,
yes,
I totally blew it, but this is where we're at, and now we just need to fix it. So,
yes.
yeah.
And so I know we have to go to the break, but when we come back, we'll talk about how shifting from that level of consciousness to that level of consciousness, because you have the skills to do it, how that affected your entire experience of the same things in life didn't change, you changed. So we'll talk about that when we
and
come
how
back.
that would have done a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yes.
What would have been different? And I kind of want to talk about where you found me when we started. Where was I on this scale, and then where did we get to? Because that's hope, man. That's like, if I can do it, so can they. So I want to. We'll maybe touch on that. But okay, let's go to the break, and we'll, all right, stick around, guys. This is good stuff. I can't wait for you to hear the rest. So we'll see you on the other side.
Hey everybody, Craig Tomanini here, founder and CEO of Ask Craig T, and I wanted to do a quick reminder about our podcast every Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms, so be sure you tune in. Don't miss all the valuable information we're going to give you about how to scale your business using technology.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck, on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right, here we go. We're back, everybody, for the last part of the show. And if you have not, if you're here and you're watching and you're going, what the heck are they talking about? What is going on? Just go back and watch the rest of it, because this is like mind-blowing stuff, and it's stuff that everybody needs to know. So, and by the way, if you are watching, no matter where you're watching, thank you for being here. And if you have comments or questions or anything, just throw it in the comments, man. If you're on Facebook, ask there. If you're on YouTube, you can ask there. If you're watching on E360 TV, scan the QR code, and it'll go to Michal's website, and then you can schedule time with her if you have questions that you want to ask. So there we go. All right.
Sweet. Okay, I have a few things to wrap us up with, and I will do my best to get it all in. If you want to pull the map of consciousness up, we can look at where you started in your health journey.
Yes.
Which was anger. I got to look it up on the break. So anger, which is extraordinary, you guys, actually, because people have to do a lot of personal development on themselves and in general to move from that bottom section color, like grief and below, into fear and above. Like really, it takes a lot of personal development to get to desire.
Well, now we did some of that before, because I remember we met once. We met for a little bit, and you're like, no, yeah. And so Michal has lots of helpers, lots of associates that she works with that can help if you're in that situation. So I actually went and met with one of those who was amazing for a little while, and then came back, and then she was like, okay. So I think when I came back, that's where I was then, I think. Yeah. So it took me a minute to get there. So,
yep. And then reason. So you went from 150 to 400 in 3 to 4 months. I mean, this blows my mind that we're seeing this for clients. Now, how we also look at it is we have a separate chart that we use, because just because you can be there it's like you need to build a foundation there. So yes. We also look at shadow integration, like how integrated are you at these levels? Because you could be able to reach love, but if you're only 20% integrated through the whole chart, then you still have 80% shame that you have not processed through. And so if you get triggered and your snow globe shakes up, that's what's still those survival instincts will kick in, and you'll get a flare up physically, and there's more shadow work to be done. But that's an extraordinary leap.
Which we actually the shadow work is something we talked about at a previous episode too. So if you want more information about that, go, we actually that's in the title. I think shadow work is actually in the title. So go back and look at that one. Yeah. But thank you for that. I was actually pleasantly surprised that I made it from that was the leap. So that was pretty cool. So
do you want to share with us
once you're there, then you know, it's like first of all, you don't have excuses anymore. If you run into a flare up, it's on you to figure it out, and you can figure it out because you have the tools. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's kind of frustrating, but it's kind of liberating at the same time.
Totally. Yeah. I know, it's like, oh, now I'm responsible. But the cool thing is, exactly, I am controlling my nervous system. Before I learned this, I didn't know how. Then I learned how, and now I can just shift it. If I'm experiencing something that I don't like, then I can shift that experience. If I have a flare up, I can figure it out in a few minutes, and I don't need the diets and the cleanses and the supplements. So it's very empowering, but yes, it is a responsibility.
Totally. All right. So what are we wrapping up with here? We got
I'd love to hear for a minute or so, what being able to regulate to a place of acceptance, how that shifted your whole experience yesterday.
You mean specifically the thing that happened yesterday? Yeah. I think it was very humbling, honestly, because I knew that I had done that. Like, once you know that you've done that, you're like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
Okay. But then you're like, okay, well, you also learn not to beat yourself up, because you still are in a you're growing all the time. You're forever, so it's not like anybody gets this figured out and then, coast the rest of your life. You're still working on stuff. So it was that kind of thing. It was like, okay, I got it. I acknowledge that was not the way to do it. And so we're going to, and so it was nice. Then I did some things that are kind of default for me for re-regulating, and then I came back to the situation, and it was much better. And Catherine's so wise. My wife, Catherine, she said, put your phone down and don't respond to anything, because there was a couple things that I was also in the midst of responding to, and she said, don't you dare respond right now. Give me your phone, so, and then later in the afternoon I could respond. So yeah,
yes,
it was.
Well, that's so cool, because you look at like being disappointed in yourself and the beating yourself up from that survival, going into acceptance, which is I forgive myself, and I have a harmonious mercy, showing mercy, right? His mercies are new every morning. Well, you can't really experience that until you're at that level of consciousness. That'll just be words to you. So then you had harmony with yourself and in your relationship with yourself and acceptance. And then the beautiful thing is when you weren't emotionally charged, you just took actions to schedule it today and put it on your calendar so that the breakdown doesn't happen. It's all good. I'm learning, I'm growing. So that's like the difference, is how we experience life, how we approach ourselves. That's why this is so relevant. And so to wrap us up here, number one, to have discernment or get help having discernment on what level of the map of consciousness it's coming from is key. Then can you be open to a more expanded viewpoint? And I promise there's always a more expanded point of view. Always, always, always infinite, right? And so that's the key. Discern where this is coming from, my thoughts, my feelings, my urges, my cravings, my patterns, my whatever reactions. Yeah. And then have that help me learn where I need to grow and what traumas and survival-based things that need integrated. I heard one. We pull that up one more time. I just need to see one level. I think it's the 4th level. I hear some funny things there was a post that showed up today in a Facebook group. I need an Indigenous person to teach me healing because I've already done therapy and I've already done these other things. It needs to be an Indigenous person. And what's fascinating about this is that's not the first time I've heard it. I've heard people decline this work because they wanted me to be a woman of color. Wow. Because those are the people that hold the most authentic, teachings or whatever. And so a white person coming in and stating whatever, blah, 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 is like stealing from the Indigenous, all that. So when I look at where that comes from on the map of consciousness, it's 75 and below. So it's a survival pattern to say it has to look the way I think it needs to look in order for me to get out of my survival-based patterns and habits, which is literally ego survival and those lower levels creating a very sticky trick and resistance in order to keep us stuck in the lower levels. Yeah. So the person can't see it because that's just how they're viewing it. But if they had the key to say, well, is my attachment to learning from an Indigenous person or elder, is that actually coming from authenticity? Or peace, joy, love, reason, acceptance, willingness, courage? Or is it coming from a very low level of, survival mode that's designed to just keep us in survival mode? So a lot of these things that come up for us, we really want to start looking, is it coming from truth or is it coming from a trick of the mind?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. So I wish we had more time because a couple things just popped up in my head about that, but we don't have time for that. So but oh my gosh. Yes. That, so yeah, think about that, everybody. That will blow your mind a little. But yeah, that was amazing. We packed so much into that one. That was great. Holy smokes. If you have questions about anything that we just talked about, man, here's the QR code. There you go. Please scan it. And talk to Michal because she will, she doesn't just spend 10 minutes with you, 15 minutes with you. It's like 90 minutes or is it an hour or 90 minutes? I can't remember.
90 minutes.
90 minutes. Psh, come on. That's unheard of. So 90 minutes that if you want to learn more, go there and learn more because it's awesome. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Michal. Thank you, everybody watching. We are going to be, we'll have Michal back again on June 17th. And our next show will be on June 6th. And I can't wait to see you there. If you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. And then it'll just remind you when the next one's on. You don't have to think too hard. You can just say, ding, oh, it's another episode. So and share. If you're loving this content and you really enjoy what we're doing, thank you for being here, and share it with your friends, because they might get some value out of it too. So all right, let's I guess we will see you on the next show. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time.